شايفة الصورة؟ طيب هو بيقول لي ايه؟ طيب بيقول لي write two sentences about how the particles are arranged in drawing A. drawing A هنا represents a liquid. drawing A اللي هو موجود فوق represent a liquid. تمام؟ اللي هو هنا اهو. A هنا liquid. طيب هو بيقول لك ايه؟ write two sentences about how the particles are arranged in drawing A. طيب هنلاقي ايه؟ انت قلتي they are not fixed in shape. برافو. ان احنا هنا هنفصلهم او هنميزهم عن السوليدز. يبقى هما they are not fixed in shape. طيب they are squashed to each other. يعني ايه؟ فاهمين الجملة دي؟
They are not neatly in rows. They are squashed to each other.
طب اوكي squash معناها crash يعني انت بتقولي هما squashed to each other يعني متكسرين جنب بعض او crushed جنب بعض.
لا اللي هما جنب بعض بس مش neatly.
طيب ممكن نقول randomly arranged. random يعني عشوائي. يبقى randomly arranged يعني هما arranged in a random way. يعني مش not in a neatly way. neatly way يعني مترتبين بدقة جنب بعض، عاملين rows و columns. ف they are arranged in a neatly way. طب نيجي نتكلم عن liquid نقول لا they are randomly arranged. ممكن نقول randomly arranged أو نقول they slide over each other. إن هما بيتحركوا حوالين بعض يعني هما in contact. نقول they are in contact with each other يعني قريبين من بعض but they slide over each other. تمام؟ لكن سكواش دي هنا دي مش مكانها. ماشي؟ طيب ده سيم هنا موجود فين؟ في السوليد. هو برضه بيقول لي write two sentences about how the particles are arranged in drawing B. drawing B هو السوليد. They are arranged neatly in rows. Yes, very good. They are not squashed to each other. برضه squashed هنا ما ايه مش مكانها. ممكن نقول ايه؟ they vibrate. They have a fixed positions and vibrate in their position. انا ما لقيتكيش كتبتي خالص vibrating. كتبتي shaking مره في اجابه في سؤال، بس ما ذكرتيش خالص الموفمنت بتاعت البارتكلز بتاعت السوليد. يبقى نقول ان هم الموفمنت بتاعتهم ايه؟ vibrating movement. اوكي؟ ودي بس كانت ايه؟ نقطه مهمه ما يجي يسالك دايما عشان انت اللي هتكتبي. يعني يقول لك انت اكتبي، تاخدي بالك وانت بتكتبي ايه الحاجات دي. بس كده تمام. عموما انت ممتازه ما شاء الله، وبرده الامتحان بتاعك برده ما شاء الله حلو. تمام. بيقول لي ايه ده؟ ريفيو على السوليدز والليكويدز. طيب بيقول لي in this unit you will find out how one state of matter can become another. We studied the solid and the liquid and how the particles of the solid behave and how the particles of the liquid behave. In this unit we will study how the matter can be changed from one state to another, how the solid may be changed to liquid or the liquid be changed back to solid. In this unit we will study this changing, how the matter changes from one state to another state. You will look at how materials change in other ways too. The materials can change in other way, in different ways, maybe change it from each state to another. كمان ممكن كمان الجاز، ممكن نلاقي كمان في change في الستيت من الجاز، من liquid to gas كمان ممكن يكون معنا. طيب keep thinking about those very tiny particles that all materials are made of. We will study in this lesson also how the changing in state, how can we learn it about the particles, or to know how the particle changes when there is a change in the state. What happened to the particles when a solid it changes to a liquid, and what happened to the particles of the liquid when the liquid it changes to solid. All these things we will study it in this unit. Okay, Sabah? Okay. Do you remember what the particle model is for a solid and for a liquid? Do you remember the particle model?
Yes.
Yes. Can you revise it with me?
What?
Can you revise it with me?
What?
Revise it, read it, or remember it. Try to remember it, the particle model.
Okay. The particle model, they are like spheres,
Yes,
but
very good.
the particles of a solid, they are pulling each other with a strong force to be closer to each other in a solid.
Yes, very good. You yes, this part is the first that each matter or each type of matter consists of some particles, and these particles are a sphere in shape, as you said, and they are all in size. You forget this point, that all spheres or all the particles are in the same size. Okay, you forget that all these spheres or all these particles are in the same size. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, this is for the solid. What about the liquid?
The liquid, they are like also solid, they are like spheres, but they are not like the same size, and they are
لا صعبة. لا size خلاص احنا قلنا particles, all the particles are in the same size. بس ما نجيبش يعني size مش بيختلف من السوليد للliquid. The size is the
okay.
same, which differ only the arrangement and the type of movement.
Yes.
Okay, the arrangement of the particles in the liquid, they are in contact with each other, but they have more spaces. They can move by sliding over each other, and they can flow. Okay.
Okay.
This is makes the liquid can't keep its shape because it can flow and the particles slide over each other. This makes the liquid that need a container and it can't keep its shape. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Activity 1 here. Copy and complete this table. Take right what you remember about the properties of solid and liquids. Put a cross next to the things you don't remember. Okay, the property here is keeps its volume. Do the solid keep its volume?
Yes.
Yes. And the liquid?
Yes.
Yes. Keeps its shape. Do the solid keeps its shape?
Yes.
Yes. Do the liquid keep its shape?
No.
No, the liquid doesn't keep its shape because the particles can flow and can move by sliding over each other, so it doesn't keep its shape. Okay, the third property can be poured.
Yes.
Which one?
The liquid. The
The
liquid.
liquid. What about the solid?
No.
No, it can't be poured. What about the solid that consists of small grains?
Yes.
Yes, it can be poured and need a container. It have some properties of liquid. Okay, keeps its mass.
Yes, solid and liquid keeps its mass.
Yes, very good. So we have the solid and the liquid, the two can keep their masses. Okay, here in activity number 2, John sorted different materials into 2 groups, solids and liquid, like this one. The first group is solid. He bought in this group wood, brick, and glass. And the second group is liquid and bought in it water, milk, and honey. Has he made some mistakes? For these 2 groups, is there any mistake for the solid and the liquid?
No.
Okay. Why has John placed some materials in the overlapping part of the Venn diagram? He bought some materials here. This part, we called it overlapping. We bought, John bought in it flour, sand, and rice. Why he bought these materials here in this overlapping part?
Oh, because it is have some properties of liquid and have some properties of solid.
Very good. What are the properties of these materials that is similar to solid?
Solid, because it has small grains that make it solid.
Solid, small grains like the brick, which has all the properties of the solid, that it keep its mass, keep its shape, and can be poured and doesn't need a container. What are the properties that make them similar to the liquids?
it can be bored and wants and it can need a container.
Need a container. Yes, very good. So these three substances, we bought it in the overlapping area because they have some properties of solid, that they are consists of small grains. Each grain is a solid state matter. It has its own shape. It can't be bored, and it need a container. It doesn't need a container, but it has some properties also, like the liquid, that these grains are very small, so they can be poured and they need a container as a whole. اوكي. خليني امسح بس دول. Here talk about mixing and separating solids and liquid. We have here a plate or a bowl that contain sand and water. How can you separate the sand from the water? What do you think, Saba?
Sand and water. Sand it's have small grains, and water doesn't have small grains.
Okay, we want to separate them.
Okay.
The two are present in the same bowl. We want to separate the water and the sand alone and the water alone.
We take spoon that have some some spots in it, and we
Holes?
put
Some holes.
yes.
Sieving. It means sieving. يعني أصفيها. Filtering
Yeah.
or sieving. I bought a sieve or a filter paper. Filter paper is a paper which has very small pores that allow the water to pass through it and doesn't allow the sand to pass. So we can separate them by sieving or filtering. So we can separate the water alone and the sand alone. Okay. What about a mixture of iron and sand? How can we separate them?
Iron and sand. Iron is iron. It is so like water. It can be poured easily, but not like.
Okay, iron feeling. Iron feeling is iron in grains. The iron present in the grain form, like the sand. Iron feeling يعني نشارة. نشارة يعني عارفة حديد مفرفت كده. There is sand. We have a mixture of iron feelings and sand. We want to separate them. Think about ideas that we can use to separate iron and sand.
Iron and sand. We take the same spoon that we get it from sand and water.
Okay, but the two are solids. The sieving process used because we have a liquid and a solid. The liquid can pass through the sieve while the sand cannot pass. So we can separate water from solid, that the solid here is doesn't dissolving in water. So we can separate the solid and the liquid. Here we have two solids. The iron feelings and the sand are two solids and they even have the same size of the grains. What about magnet?
Yes, magnet.
Yes, we can use the magnet and put it near the iron feelings and the sand. The iron feeling will be attracted to the magnet and the sand will stay in its place. So here we can separate the iron feelings from the sand. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. This was a review about Unit 4. Now we will talk about changing the state. When there is a change from a solid state to the liquid state. Changing state is surrounding in our surroundings, but we can't notice it or absorb it, like the ice cream. We all eat ice cream. The ice cream, when it is cold, it is present in the solid state as the ice. After time, it will melt and change to the liquid state. This is a changing in the state. The ice, at first, it will be in the solid state. When it warm, or when we take it out of the freezer, we will find that it starts to melt and it changes to the liquid state. We call this a change in the state.
A
Okay?
physical change.
Physical change, yes, very good. انتوا خدتوه في المدرسة ولا لسه يا سوا؟
لا، خدنا يونت 5 أصلا في المدرسة.
ويونت 4
أيوة، ما احنا خلصنا يونت 4.
بسرعة كده؟
احنا كنا كل يوم بنقرا كام درس كده وبنقعد نشرح عليه عشان نخلص يونت 4.
في المدرسة تقصدي ولا في البيت؟
صح. اه، وقربنا كمان أصلا نخلص يونت 5.
اوكي، طب كويس انك قلتي لي، انا مفكرة انتوا لسه في 4 وهتقعدوا شوية بقى في 4. طيب
لا.
تمام، خلاص اوكي. So have you ever tried to eat ice cream in a hot day? The ice cream in a hot day, it will melt very rapidly. If you don't eat it quickly enough, it becomes runny. Runny means that it becomes the liquid state. This is the change in the state from the solid state. The ice cream, when it is in the freezer, is in the solid state. When we take it out of the freezer, it becomes runny. Runny means that it becomes liquid. When some materials get warm, they change from one state of matter to another. Warm is to be present in a high temperature. Get warm if we put it in a high temperature, like the ice cream. The ice cream, when we put it in the freezer, the temperature of the freezer is low. So the ice cream stays in the solid state. When we take the ice cream out from the freezer, it gets warm because the temperature outside the freezer is higher than the temperature inside it. Okay, so it will change the state from solid to liquid state. So the process which is melting means the change of the state of the matter of these objects from the solid state to the liquid state. Okay, Sabah?
Okay.
Okay, so when some materials get warm, they change from one state of matter to another. Heating a solid can make it melt. So when we have a substance or object like the ice or the ice cream in the solid state, when it melts, when we make heating to it, or when the temperature become higher, it changes from the solid state to the liquid state. And this change, we called it melting. So melting is when a solid, it changes into a liquid. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Ice cream changes from a solid block to a runny liquid when it is heated. When we have ice cream and left it in a hot day outside the freezer, we will notice that the ice cream will change from its solid state or the solid block state to a runny liquid that can flow, become a liquid that can flow and become a runny liquid. It's not the only material that can change state in this way. The ice cream is not the only material that can change from the solid state to the liquid state by heating. We have different substances. Do you know any examples of a substance that melts by high temperature? Like the ice cream?
Like ice. Ice.
Ice, okay. What else?
Like ice and
Maybe chocolate?
yes, chocolate. But not all chocolate. A hard chocolate, when we put it in a hot place, it by maybe some hours to can get to and to can get to liquid.
Yes. But at the end, it will become a liquid.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And the butter also. Do you know the butter?
Yes.
Okay. The butter also melts by heating. When you put a piece of butter in a pot on the fire, it will melt directly because the temperature is high. Okay. Now we will make an experiment. We will need chocolate pieces, clear plastic sandwich bag, grease-proof paper. Put chocolate pieces into a plastic bag. Hold the bag in both hands. Predict what will happen to the chocolate and why. What do you think, Saba? What will happen to the chocolate in this bag?
It will melt.
It will melt. Why it will melt?
Because it have a high temperature.
Higher temperature. When we put it in the bag, the temperature will be the temperature will increase and the chocolate start to melt and change to the liquid state. Okay. Use photographers or a drawing to record what happens to the chocolate. Okay, we can draw it. C. Observe the chocolate carefully. What has happened to the chocolate pieces? What happened to the chocolate pieces?
It will melt.
It will melt and it becomes soft. If it doesn't melt to a runny state, it will be in its shape, but it becomes soft. When we press it, we will find that it is soft instead of being hard. When it is in the solid state, when we press it, we find that it is hard. Now, after putting it in this bag, if we press it, we'll find that it is soft. It can change its shape. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Was your prediction correct? I think yes. Okay. Why we bought the chocolate in a bag?
Bag.
Yes, why we bought the chocolate here in this plastic bag? To make sure that there is no part is lost from this chocolate. It is in the same amount. We bought it in the solid state in the same amount. Then there is no part from this chocolate is lost. All the parts or all the amount of the chocolate is inside the bag. When it melts, it has the same amount. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. A chocolate has a special property. The heat from your body or your body temperature is enough to make it melt. If you hold a chocolate in your hand for some time, you will find that the chocolate will melt. Why do the chocolate will melt when you catch it with your hand?
When what?
When you catch it or hold it in your hand. If you hold the chocolate bar in your hand, you will find after time that it will melt. Why? Because your hand has heat. Your hand has a high temperature. Our body temperature is high. The temperature of our body is 37 Celsius. It's a high temperature for the chocolate to be melt. So it melts when we hold it in our hand because it takes heat from our hand. Our hand has a high temperature for the chocolate. When we hold it in our hand, we make its temperature become higher. So it melts. Okay, our bodies has a high temperature for the chocolate. The chocolate began to melt when there is a higher temperature than the temperature of the fridge or the freezer. So when we catch it in our hand, it takes heat from our hand because our body temperature is 37 degrees. It's very high for the chocolate to melt. So after time, we will find that the chocolate will melt inside our hands. Okay? صعبة معايا؟ صبا؟ انتي قافلة المايك يا صبا.
ألو؟
ايوه يا صبا. سامعاني ولا كان الصوت رايح؟
لا كنت سامعة.
تمام، يعني سمعتي الحتة بتاعت الشوكليت دي؟
أيوة.
Okay, then our body has a heat. Temperature of our body بيقول لي find out what human body temperature should be. Our temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. So this temperature is enough for the chocolate to be melted. So when we hold the chocolate in our hand, it melts due to the heat that is present in our hand. اوكي، يعني هي بتاخد هيت من ايدينا. احنا جسمنا يعتبر درجة حرارته، احنا جسمنا يعتبر احنا من warm bodies. لو فاكرة من بس اللي ما اتذكرتش عندكم في الكتاب، مش عارفة اخدتوه ولا لا، ان احنا من الاورجانيزمز او الهيومن من الاورجانيزمز اللي عندهم ايه؟ hot blooded organism. يعني ايه؟ يعني البلاد بتاعنا سخن، مش بيتأثر بدرجة الحرارة اللي حوالينا. فاحنا عندنا درجة حرارة جسمنا، درجة حرارة جسمنا ثابتة في العادي. يعني لو مفيش حد عيان او عنده انفكشن او حاجة، درجة الحرارة بتاعتنا ثابتة، ان احنا جسمنا دايما warm 37 degrees. طيب فاحنا عشان جسمنا warm، فاحنا بندي هيت للشوكليت لو مسكناها في ايدينا، فبنلاقي ان الشوكليت بتعمل ميلتنج. خدت هيت منين او خدت تمبريتشر منين؟ من ايدينا او من البادز بتاعتنا، ان احنا درجة حرارتنا تعتبر warm. اوكي؟
اوكي.
اوكي. when there is a change in the state, what happened to the mass? Do the mass changes or it stay the same?
It changes.
If we have here, like this in the experiment of this chocolate, we have here this chocolate have a certain mass. Let's say that it is 50 grams. When it is in the solid state, the chocolate was 50 grams. When it melts, what happens to its mass? It will be 50 or more than 50 or less than 50 grams. 50 will be the same. So the mass will not change. This is why we bought it in this plastic bag, to be sure that there is no amount of this chocolate is be lost. So when we weigh it at the first or at the beginning of the experiment, we will found that this chocolate, say, is 50 grams. After it melts, after time when it become in the liquid state, if we weigh it another time, we found that its mass is still 50 degrees. So the mass doesn't change by changing the state. If there is a change in the state from the liquid state to the solid state by freezing, or from the solid state to the liquid state by melting, the mass stays the same. Okay, like here. Talk in a small group. What happens to the mass of ice when it melts? Will it be heavier or lighter or keep the same mass? And why? Here is the boy. I think it will get light. The boy thinks that the ice will be lighter when it become a liquid or when it become water. This girl thinks that it will get heavier, that it will be heavier. When the ice melts to be a liquid, she thinks that it will be heavier. And this girl, I think it will stay the same. She said that it will be the same like Saba. Saba said that it will be the same. And this is the right answer, that the mass doesn't change by changing the state. Okay? Okay. Here he is talking about the water. The water, he said that the water is a special material. It's a special material called a substance. It is a pure substance. Why we call it a substance? Because it is pure. Water is pure. Water contains water only, the particles of water only inside it. So we called it a substance. It's made of only one thing. Only one thing make the water. The particles of the water is pure. There is no anything, another thing present in the water. So water made only of water. The water is made only of water, so it is pure. Substances are made of only one thing. It's made of one thing, so it's a pure. You understand this point?
Yes.
يعني بيقول لي ان الووتر هي بس بتتكون من الووتر، ما فيهاش حاجه تاني، فيها البارتكلز بتاعت الووتر بس كده، فهي بنسميها ايه؟ بنسميها substance. طيب the water is a special. Why the water is a special? Because only the water is present in the three states. The water can be present in the solid state when it is ice. It can be present in the liquid state when it is running water, and present in the gas state when it is steam or water vapor. So the water is a special material because it has different names for each state. It can be present in the three states, and each state of the water has a name. So the water is the name of the liquid state. When we have a water in the liquid state, like the water that is falling from the tap, we called it water in the liquid state. When it freezes inside the freezing, we call it ice. So the water, when it is present in the solid state, we call it ice. Ice is the name of the solid state. Right. When the water is present in the gas state, we call it steam. So the water is a special because it can be present in the three states, solid, liquid, gas, and each state it has a different name. Okay, Saba?
Okay.
Okay, can you mention the three states of water?
The what?
Names? Can you mention the three states of water and their names?
I can't hear.
Can you mention the three states of water and say their names?
Their weight?
Names, name.
Oh, okay, names. Okay. Name.
The water can be present in the three states. What are these three states? صبا سامعاني؟ صبا؟ صبا قافلة المايك.
الو.
ايوه يا صبا، انت كنتي قافلة المايك.
ما كنتش شايفه.
طيب يلا، فاكرة السؤال؟
ايه السؤال؟
اه الwater is present in the three states.
ايه.
Okay, can you mention the states and the name of each state?
اوكي.
ايه صبا، هتقولي ولا ايه؟
اوكي.
يلا.
اوكي. The three states of water. The three states اللي هو solid, liquid and gas.
Okay. What's the name of the water in the solid state?
The name of the water of the in the solid states. Mm, uh, then it present ice.
Ice, yes. The name of the water in the solid state is ice. The name of the water in the liquid state?
Water.
Water. In the gas state?
Steam.
Steam. This thing make the water special material because it can be present in the three states, and each state it have a different name. Okay, when the ice melts, so it changes from the solid state to the liquid state. When the ice, which is water in the solid state, ice melts to form water. Water is the liquid state. In a similar way, the chocolate melts. In the previous page, we make experiment about how the chocolate melts by increasing the temperature. The ice, which is the water in the solid state, melts in the same way or in a similar way to chocolate when it melts. Okay?
Okay.
Some of the properties of the material it changes when it changes the states. We have some properties that will change. When it is solid, it keeps its shape. The ice is a solid water or a water in the solid state. In this case, it can keep its shape. It can't be poured. It doesn't need a container. But when this ice, which is water in the solid state, melts and become liquid, we will find that some properties will change. Now it can flow. Now it need a container. Now we can't hold it easily because it changes the state. When it changes to gas, we can't see it. or يعني we can't see it. Yes, ممكن نقول كده، لكن احنا طبعا بنشوفها يعني. ساعات كتير بنشوفها. طيب so it changes to the gas. It will have a different properties. It will spread out in the air. We can't hold it. So when it changes from one state to another, we will find that some properties will change. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now we will make an experiment to know, do the mass changes when we change the state? So we will put the ice cubes. We'll need the tools that we need: ice cubes, clear plastic bags, balance or weighing scales. The first step is to put the ice cubes into a plastic bag. Measure how heavy the ice is. So the first thing, we will put the ice cubes in a plastic bag, and then we will put this plastic bag on the scale or a weighing or a balance, and to weigh it. Let's say that the mass of the ice was 40 grams. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, then the second step, leave the ice on the scales in a warm place. So we will leave the ice inside the plastic bag on the scale in a warm place, so the temperature will increase and the ice will start to melt and it change from the solid state to the liquid state. Predict what will happen to the ice. What do you think what will happen to the ice?
It will be water.
Okay, very good. So the
Okay.
ice will melt and it changes to the liquid state, which is water. Step 3, record the mass of the melted ice. Then we will put the melted ice or the water which is inside the plastic bag and put it in the balance and measure its weight. What happened to the mass of the ice as it melted into water? What do you think we will found its mass? How its mass will be more than the mass of the ice or less than the mass of the ice or the same?
The same.
It will be the same. When we weigh the water or put the water which is melted from the ice on the balance, we will find that its mass will be the same, which is 40 grams. So the mass doesn't change by changing. The mass doesn't change by changing the state. The ice which is in the solid state, its mass was 40 grams. When it melted and become liquid water, we found that its mass also stay 40 grams. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. We bought it in the plastic bag. Why we bought it in the plastic bag? To be sure that there is no any part that is lost during the melting. They are inside the plastic bag when they are ice. And when they melt, they are still in the same bag. So there is no any amount of the ice or the water is lost. They are the same. So we found that their mass is the same. Okay? He is asking us here, why do we need to use a scale? Why we use a scale to measure the mass of the ice and the water, Saba?
Which to check if the mass of the ice cubes, if it melt, it will change or not.
Yes, very good. So to be sure that the mass is the same, or to be more accurate about the mass, to be accurate about the mass of the ice and accurate about the mass of the liquid.